In a quiet California neighborhood, a little girl named Melody Buzzard simply vanished. No screams, no witnesses, no trace, just an empty house and a mother with too many secrets. For nearly a year, no one even realized she was gone. But when the truth began to surface, it led investigators down a twisting road across state lines and into something far darker than anyone imagined. This isn't just the story of a missing child. It's the story of how silence can hide the unthinkable until it's too late.
Bring them
Sometimes the most haunting mysteries begin quietly, without warning, and without the sound of alarm bells. They begin in the kind of neighborhoods where the sidewalks are cracked by sunlight and children's bicycles lean against garage doors. In these places, the world feels safe until one day it isn't. That's where the story of 9-year-old Melody Buzzard begins. She is a gentle, brown eyed girl from Vandenberg Village, a small community tucked along California's central coast. People who know her describe her as bright and shy, a little girl who loves art and animals, who smiles softly when she speaks. She lived a life that, from the outside, looked ordinary, but underneath that quiet exterior, something was unraveling. In October of 2025, a school administrator noticed Melody hadn't been to class in weeks. They called her home, then called again. There was no answer. At first, it seemed like a simple case of a family moving away without updating school records. But when the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office began a welfare check, they quickly realized something wasn't right. When detectives arrived at the Buzzard home, they found Melody's mother, Ashley, living alone. The blinds were drawn. The house felt abandoned, lived in but hollow. When asked where her daughter was, Ashley said Melody was safe, that she was with relatives. But she wouldn't say which relatives or where they lived. Her story shifted with each question, like she was chasing the truth but never catching it. It was then that investigators learned something chilling. No one, no teacher, no friend, no extended family member, had seen Melody in nearly a year. For 12 long months, her absence had gone unnoticed by nearly everyone outside her mother's closed world. Detectives began to dig deeper. They searched school records, medical records, family contact lists. Then they found something important: rental car paperwork. In early October, just a week before Melody was officially reported missing, Ashley had rented a white 2024 Chevrolet Malibu from a local agency in Lompoc. Security footage from that rental lot would soon become one of the last confirmed images of Melody Buzzard alive. The video showed Ashley standing at the counter, filling out forms, her face hidden beneath a ball cap. Beside her stood Melody. She looked different. Her hair was straight and much darker than before. Investigators quickly realized she was wearing a wig. It wasn't the kind of thing a child wears for fun. It looked intentional, an attempt to change how she appeared. Melody also wore a gray hooded sweatshirt pulled tight around her face. She stayed close to her mother, barely looking up. For investigators, that moment on camera was both a breakthrough and a heartbreak. It proved Melody had been alive just days earlier, but it also raised a haunting question: why disguise her at all? On October 7th, Ashley and Melody left in the rented car. What followed was a journey that stretched across states and into mystery. Detectives pieced together their route through highway cameras, toll records, and witness accounts. On October 8th, the same vehicle appeared again, but something about it had changed. The California license plate had been replaced with one from New York. The new plate didn't belong to the car rental company or to Ashley. It was a deliberate switch, one that investigators believe was meant to hide their tracks. The trip spanned hundreds of miles. Records show the car traveling east through Arizona, Colorado, and possibly as far as Nebraska before looping back. Somewhere near the Colorado-Utah border, on October 9th, a witness remembered seeing a woman and a child matching their description. The woman seemed nervous, looking over her shoulder, rushing the child along. That was the last reported sighting of Melody Buzzard. When Ashley returned the car to California on October 10th, Melody was gone. The passenger seat was empty. Ashley didn't tell anyone where she had been. She didn't explain what had happened during those missing days or why she had driven thousands of miles with a disguised child. The car was eventually impounded and searched by investigators. What they found or didn't find has not been released to the public. By mid October, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office formally opened a missing person investigation, and the FBI joined the search soon after. Detectives executed warrants at Ashley's home, on her digital devices, and even on a storage unit she was renting. Still, there was no sign of Melody. Meanwhile, family members began coming forward with heartbreaking revelations. Many hadn't seen Melody in years. Some said Ashley had stopped allowing visits long before 2025. She'd grown distant, paranoid, convinced that outsiders were dangerous. She moved from place to place, withdrawing further each time. According to relatives, she seemed to believe she was protecting her daughter from a world she no longer trusted. But in protecting her, she may have hidden her completely. In interviews, family members described their last attempts to reach out: birthday cards returned unopened, phone numbers disconnected, messages unanswered. They had worried for Melody's safety but had no way to intervene, and by the time the system noticed her absence, she was already gone. As investigators followed the trail of evidence, the story took another turn. On November 7th, 2025, Ashley Buzzard was arrested on a felony charge of false imprisonment. Authorities clarified that the charge was not directly related to Melody's disappearance, but it was enough to hold her in custody as the investigation continued. Her bail was set at $100,000. Detectives questioned her repeatedly, but she remained uncooperative. She refused to say where Melody was or even acknowledge that the girl was missing. To some, that silence speaks louder than words. In the weeks that followed, search teams expanded their efforts across state lines. Investigators used drones to scan areas along Ashley's travel route, focusing on rural stretches of highway between Colorado and Utah. The FBI analyzed cell tower data, credit card transactions, and surveillance footage from rest stops. Yet, despite every effort, no new sightings were confirmed. The last verifiable moment of Melody's life remains that October 7th footage. The little girl in the wig, standing beside her mother. The image is haunting, not because it shows violence or fear, but because it feels like a farewell that no one recognized at the time. As weeks turned into months, the story began to draw national attention. The case sparked outrage and disbelief. How could a child vanish for so long without being noticed? How could a system designed to protect children miss every warning sign? Educators and social workers across California began reevaluating the way attendance and welfare checks are handled. Experts pointed out a flaw in the system: when parents claim to homeschool, move suddenly, or avoid communication, there are few mechanisms to track a child's well being. The gaps widen in cases of isolation, and for children like Melody, those gaps can become dangerous hiding places. For her community, the news hit hard. Vandenberg Village is the kind of place where people greet each other at grocery stores, where neighbors watch each other's children. To learn that a 9-year-old had vanished right among them was unthinkable. Within days, candlelight vigils appeared outside Melody's old elementary school. Classmates brought drawings and letters. Parents who had once walked past Ashley and Melody on their morning routes stood side by side, whispering prayers. The hardest part for everyone was knowing how long it had taken for the alarm to sound. Many said they felt guilt, wondering if someone should have noticed sooner. A teacher who once had Melody in her class said quietly, "You never imagine that a child you know, one who sat in your classroom, could disappear like that. You think the world will catch it, but sometimes it doesn't." As the case deepened, detectives shared only limited information. They confirmed that Melody's disappearance was being treated as suspicious and that multiple states were now part of the investigation. They stopped short of calling it an abduction or homicide case, but privately, they acknowledged that the window for finding her alive was narrowing. The forensic work continued quietly. Teams sifted through Ashley's phone data, hoping to find traces of her route: GPS coordinates, gas station check-ins, hotel records. Every detail mattered, but each search ended in more uncertainty. For the investigators who work missing children cases, the Buzzard case is a nightmare scenario. There's no single crime scene, no witness, no clear timeline, just a moving car, a mother's silence, and a child who vanished somewhere along the way. And yet, hope remains. Authorities insist they are not giving up. The FBI, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children continue to follow leads. They've urged the public to come forward with any information, no matter how small, about sightings between California and Nebraska in early October 2025. For Melody's remaining family, the search has become a daily ache. They post her photo online, update pages, answer calls from reporters, and cling to hope that someone, somewhere, saw something that will bring her home. When asked about her, one relative said softly, "Melody is love. She's light. We can't stop looking because she deserves to be found." It's difficult not to feel the heartbreak in those words, because beneath every headline and investigation update is a child who should be safe, whose story should have been simpler. Melody should be turning 10 soon. There should be presents and laughter and candles to blow out. Instead, her name lives on posters, her face on digital boards and news broadcasts. Her life is now a question mark suspended in the minds of everyone who's heard her story. The tragedy of Melody Buzzard is not just her disappearance. It's the silence that surrounded her long before she vanished. A silence that grew in the space between family disconnection, mental illness, and a society that didn't notice soon enough. Her case has become a symbol of how isolation can hide danger. It reminds us that the world's quiet corners, the ones that seem peaceful and self-contained, can sometimes be the places where people vanish unseen. There's still no public answer to what happened during that week-long road trip or why Melody was disguised. Some believe Ashley may have left her daughter with someone far from California, perhaps thinking it was an act of protection. Others fear the truth may be darker. Until evidence surfaces, both possibilities hang in painful balance. But even without those answers, Melody's story continues to matter. It forces a reckoning with the systems that failed to see her. It asks hard questions about mental health, accountability, and the fragile assumptions we make about safety within our own communities. It's a story that investigators describe as achingly incomplete. Every lead carries both hope and dread. Every day that passes stretches the distance between then and now, but it also strengthens the resolve of those still searching. If there's one truth that threads through every missing child case, it's that hope does not die easily. It lingers, even in the absence of evidence. It waits, stubbornly, in the belief that someone, somewhere, will come forward, that a forgotten photograph or memory will spark recognition. The disappearance of Melody Buzzard is more than a mystery. It's a mirror reflecting how fragile safety can be when a child's world collapses into one person's control. It's a lesson in vigilance, in community, and in how quickly isolation can turn into invisibility. We may not yet know where Melody is or what really happened on that long October drive across the country, but we do know that her story deserves to be told over and over until answers emerge, because telling it keeps her name alive, it keeps her visible. For now, the image remains. A small girl standing beside her mother at a car rental counter, wearing a dark wig and a hooded sweatshirt, a disguise that hid her from the world for just a little longer. She looks up briefly in that footage, her expression unreadable, her eyes catching the light for only a moment before she looks away, and then she disappears into the folds of time and distance. We're left with questions, with heartbreak, and with the faint hope that somewhere she's still out there, that the road she traveled with her mother didn't end in tragedy, but in some hidden place waiting to be found. Until that moment comes, investigators will keep searching, her family will keep calling her name, and the rest of us will keep remembering that behind every missing poster is not just a face, but a life that deserves to come home. Her name is Melody Buzzard. She is 9 years old, and she is still missing. Thank you for watching my coverage of this case. If you have any information, please contact the detectives assigned. If you enjoyed my coverage, please subscribe. Thank you for your time, stay safe, and look out for one another. Bye.